Welcome to the Fat Loss and Disease Prevention Masterclass. I'm Joshua D. Noland, author, health coach, and chef. I'm so glad you're joining me today for this masterclass. It's um, it's really sad how many people are suffering with being overweight or common chronic diseases like heart disease, like high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and even mental health disorders like depression and anxiety. And my goal is to help you overcome these struggles and find ways to feel better and enjoy your quality of life. Um, so why are you here? What brought you here today? Oh, you know what? Before we keep going, I just want to mention I'm going to leave time at the end to answer any questions. So please feel free to leave your questions in the comments section, and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation here. So why are you here? Are you looking to lose weight? Do you want to prevent or overcome any diseases you're currently dealing with? Do you have any mental health issues that are keeping you from being your best self? These are all, common struggles that people deal with every day in our common society. People don't take a lot of time to focus on themselves and work on themselves these days. And it's really important to take that time to take care of yourself and make sure your health is as good as possible so you can thrive and you can feel good and you can enjoy every day. Um, So the protein lifestyle is based on the trifecta, and that's the three pillars of optimal health. These are the three things you need to focus on to optimize your health and feel your best. So those three things are fitness, nutrition, and recovery. Fitness is composed of strength training, mobility practices, cardiovascular exercise, and just overall physical activity. Nutrition, it's about focusing on whole foods, eating high protein and low carb. And we'll get into more of that in the next slide. And the third pillar, recovery, is a two-part. It comprises physical recovery and mental wellness. Physical recovery is taking care of, sore, tight muscles. Maybe you injured yourself working out, or you have an injury like I tore my meniscus in my knee a few years ago, and I had to do physical recovery, physical therapy to heal from that. And then mental wellness is, what I think the most important aspect of overall health. If you're not in a good place mentally, these other areas don't matter. You won't be motivated to work on yourself. So now we'll get into more on nutrition. We're going to talk about why nutrition is important. Because it is important. They say you can't outrun a bad diet, and that means that you'll never be able to work out enough to overcome bad eating habits. You can't just go and splurge and eat all kinds of stuff and then think you're gonna go to the gym and do a marathon on the treadmill for 4 hours and burn it all off. It's just not feasible. That's not how it works. So you need to be intentional about what you're eating. You are what you eat. Your body replaces every cell every 5 to 7 years, and those new cells are comprised of the foods that you eat. So if you put in trash, you're gonna feel like that, and you're gonna struggle to be healthy. Uh, Food is fuel. It's not it's not supposed to be comforting or to make you happy. It's supposed to fuel your body and your mind and your muscles. And it's critical that you put in high quality nutrients into your body so that it can work the way that it's supposed to. Um, There's something called the gut-brain axis, and it's a way that your body communicates between your gut and your brain, and that can have a huge impact on your mental and emotional health. When you're eating what you're supposed to be eating, like whole foods, you're gonna feel good, and it really helps you in everyday life. Um, why do you need protein? Protein is vital to health. Um, it boosts your metabolism and increases fat burning. The more muscles you have, the more calories you're going to burn at rest, and it'll help you lose that weight if that's what you need to do. It also just keep you resilient. When you're stronger, you're more resilient to falls. You're less likely to get injured if you do fall. Protein also increases muscle mass and strength. Um, Protein is made of muscles, and animal, muscle is the protein that we're eating. And when you work out, you're breaking down the muscles, you're tearing the fibers, and you need that protein to build them back up. Protein is also vital for brain function. The neurotransmitters in your brain are made of the amino acids, the components that come from proteins. And when you're eating more protein, you're less likely to snack on, sugary snacks that are going to make you depressed and anxious. Um, when you eat more protein, it reduces your appetite and hunger levels. You know, Protein is very satiating, which means it keeps you full for a long time, and you're not going to have a crash from like you would from eating carbohydrates, and you're just going to have a steady, smooth energy level throughout the day. Improved recovery, like I was saying about rebuilding your muscles, the protein is vital for recovery. When you go to the gym, you work out, you need to rest and recover, and the protein is what does this. It's what um, fuels your muscles to build and to get stronger. Protein is also critical for hormone production. Um, a lot of hormones are made from amino acids, and hormones are very critical in your mood and your health, and it's vital. Um, and immune support. Proteins are used to make immunoglobulins, and those are useful for fighting infections in your body. And it's good for your bones. When you eat more protein, you get stronger, and your bones get stronger too. And the older we get, the more important that is. So what kinds of protein should we be eating? That might be a question you're asking yourself. Should we be eating the ground beef over here on the left, or the, plant-based protein like Beyond Burgers? This is a really big question a lot of people aren't sure about, and I'm of the case of going down the animal protein side, just because the nutrients are bioavailable and in the right portions, and the a lot of the plant proteins, particularly these Beyond Burgers, are highly processed, and they use hydrogenated oils and other preservatives that you just don't want in your body. So these are some examples of animal proteins. We got eggs, bacon, steak, shrimp, chicken, and the cool thing about animal proteins is that they contain all nine of the essential amino acids that your body can't produce on its own and need for proper function. Um, you can try to get the best of the best, get the grass finished beef and the pasture raised chicken, but even any chicken or beef at the store is going to be better than not eating these things. And so we need to focus on the animal proteins as a whole and not get hung up on the quality of them. Of course, you always want to get the highest quality you can, but just getting any animal protein is better than none. Um, Plant proteins, on the other hand, it's difficult for vegans and vegetarians to get enough protein. These plant proteins are not complete proteins. I was just talking about the essential amino acids that come from animal proteins and plant proteins. It's just very rare for them to contain all nine of the essential amino acids. Um, Another issue with plant proteins is they have too many carbohydrates. Um, when you combine different plant proteins to get a complete protein, like for example, beans and rice, that makes the whole protein, but that's a lot of carbohydrates. And if you're trying to lose weight, those carbohydrates are not going to serve you. They're going to spike insulin and store that excess energy as fat. Um, and the ultra processed meat products are very problematic. They're highly processed. A lot of them are soy based. If you consume too much soy, you have to be concerned about the phytoestrogens contained within it. And they also have a lot of preservatives and, like I mentioned, the hydrogenated oils in these processed fake meat products. You have to be very careful. And again, plants just don't have a lot of protein. They don't have it in the ratios that we need or the volume, and it's very challenging for people who aren't eating animal meat. Also, they're fortified with synthetic micronutrients, and you may think that's good that they have micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, but these synthetic versions of these macronutrients are not absorbed the same way as natural sources, like from whole foods. And it's something that you um, need to be concerned about. So you may be asking yourself, okay, I need protein, but how do I get enough protein? And how much protein do I need? That's a great question. The general recommendation is 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight. So let's say you're 230 pounds and your ideal body weight is 200. That means you need to eat 200 grams of protein per day to hit your goal. And it's easier if you break that down by meal. So let's say you eat 3 meals a day and one snack. So that's, four eating um, eating events in a day. And if you divide 200 by 4, that's 50. So you want to shoot for 50 grams of protein per meal and for your snack. And so this chart will give you a good idea of how to get that 50 grams of protein. For example, 6 ounces of top round steak, or 7 ounces of ground beef, or 9 ounces of grilled salmon will get you those 50 grams of protein. So now let's talk a little bit about fats. Fats have really gotten a bad rap over the past 50 years or so. There was that Harvard study um, that was paid for by the sugar industry, where they paid off scientists to skew the data and make it look like fats were the culprit of coronary heart disease instead of sugar. And it's really a shame because fats are so essential. There's essential fats just like essential proteins, and we need them. They're critical for our bodies to function properly. Um, One type of fat in particular is cholesterol. Cholesterol has had such a bad rap, but it's vital. I mean, your brain is mostly made of cholesterol. It's essential for vitamin D synthesis, and if you're not getting it, you're not going to thrive. Um, Eggs or red meat are really great sources of cholesterol, and um, you need it. You shouldn't be scared of it, especially if you're not eating a lot of carbohydrates. Fats are a really good source of calories. Speaking of carbohydrates, those are very calorie dense. But if you're not eating a lot of carbohydrates, you can get those calories that you need from fats. Um, there's the keto diet, the ketogenic diet, which is based on very low carbohydrates, very high fat and protein, and your body goes into ketosis, where it's burning fat instead of sugar, which comes from carbohydrates as fuel. And that's a really great way to burn body fat and lose weight. Um, and just have to state fat does not cause heart disease. Heart disease is caused by inflammation, by eating a lot of sugar, by eating highly processed foods, and that gets your arteries inflamed. And then your body does what it's supposed to do. It sends out cholesterol to go and fix and patch those arteries. And over time, those patches build up, and that's what creates heart disease. And so you have to fix the leak at the source per se. So carbohydrates, it's very interesting. There's no essential carbohydrates. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any carbohydrates. I mean, there's plenty of carbohydrates in fruits and vegetables, which are great because they have the fiber and the additional nutrients that your body needs. But you definitely want to limit carbohydrates because they are so calorie dense. Um, you could overeat them very easily, especially because they can be so addicting. When you mix carbohydrates with fat and salt, they become incredibly addictive and you just can't help yourself. It's really hard just to eat one chip or one, bite of popcorn. You end up eating the whole bag. And sometimes it's better just to avoid them completely if you have a hard time. Um, Carbohydrates are converted into sugar in your body. And if you don't use the sugar for physical activity or even mental, exercise, then that sugar gets stored as fat. Your body responds to sugar by releasing insulin, and insulin stores the sugar as fat in your body. And that's that's something that you need to know if you want to lose weight. Um, Carbohydrates are not your friend if you're trying to lose weight. Um, Carbohydrates can also be problematic because of the pesticides and herbicides used when growing them. Wheat, for example, is sprayed several times throughout the growing process, and one more time just before it's harvested. They use it as a desiccant to dry out the wheat, and there's definitely residuals of these chemicals that they're using. One particular Roundup, it's made of glyphosate, which is horrible for the soil microbiome, and it's horrible for your microbiome, and it's very nasty stuff, and it should be avoided at all costs. Some carbohydrates like wheat contain gluten, which can be problematic for some people. And, not so much in the past, but now the genetically modified wheat that we grow and eat in the United States has a lot more gluten than it did in the past, and it can definitely mess up your gut, and you should be careful with that. Like I said, carbohydrates are very calorie dense, but they're lacking in nutrients. So they have a lot of calories, but they don't provide a lot of micronutrients like vitamins and minerals. And just like the plant proteins, the processed foods, they may contain synthetic micronutrients, but your body just doesn't absorb them the same way, and they're not utilized as they would be from a natural source. Already mentioned the glucose crash that you get from carbohydrates. That's when you eat, some pancakes for breakfast, and then by 10 o'clock you're tired and hungry and ready for more. This is because your blood sugar spiked, your body released insulin, it brought the sugar levels down, and then your brain's like, oh shit, there's no more sugar. I'm starving. I need more food. And it's a vicious cycle. So you have to avoid that glucose crash by limiting the amount of carbohydrates you eat. Again, one more time, limit carbohydrates if you want to lose weight. That's that's all I have to say about that. Some foods to avoid. Ultra processed oils. These ultra processed oils were originally a byproduct of manufacturing, and they were used for lubricating machines and equipment. And the food industry, you know, they have this waste product, and they wanted to figure out what they could do with it. So they created vegetable oil. Other things like Crisco. These are ultra processed foods that are rancid, and they have to bleach them and use all kinds of chemicals to get them to look okay and to be okay, but they are not okay for you. They create a ton of inflammation in your body. And like I said, that inflammation can cause heart disease, and it can cause a whole bunch of other things. Most diseases are caused by inflammation. And while we're talking about inflammation, sugar is another one that causes inflammation. And it's the same issue with the carbohydrates. Sugar also spikes your insulin and stores that as fat. And it's in everything. I mean, it's in bread, it's in sauces, it's in so many things, and it has so many different names. High fructose corn syrup, or um, what else? Um, Fructose or maltol. There's so many names that they use. I have a list on my website of all the different names that sugar can be found under the ingredients list for different foods. Um, so grains, let's talk about grains. You should try to avoid grains as much as possible, even if it's just for the pesticides, that's one thing, but also the carbohydrates. And a lot of these grains are highly processed, like bread and pasta, and these foods just don't work well with your body, and they can give you brain fog, and they give you that crash, and they should be avoided as much as possible, especially when you're trying to lose weight or overcome any chronic diseases. So some foods to include: whole foods. Whole foods is where it's at. Whole foods are natural single ingredient foods that come from the earth. So these are foods like um, beef or chicken or fish or fruits and vegetables. These are things that haven't been processed, they haven't been messed with, and they have all the nutrients and vitamins, fiber, and everything else that don't come in processed foods. Um, that's the key. If you just ate whole foods, you would be so much better off. And if you're hungry and you're not hungry for meat, that means you're not really hungry. Maybe you're just bored or upset or something. But yeah, stick with whole foods and you'll be on the track to success. So let's get into fitness a little bit. Why do we need to stay active? Well, if you want to have a high quality of life, you need to stay active. You need to stay in shape so you can enjoy time with friends and loved ones. Um, you want to stay active so you can avoid injuries. When you're stronger and more flexible, if you do fall, you're more likely to not injure yourself because of the added muscle and strength and bone density. Mental wellness. Mental wellness comes into play in nutrition and in fitness. Um, if you're sedentary, it's very likely that you're going to be depressed. You need to get outside, get the fresh air, get the sunlight, move, get your blood flowing, and that's going to help. with your mood and help you stay positive. Um, and it's also going to help avoid diseases. When you're more active, you're you're going to be stronger, you're going to be sitting less, and it just leads to an overall healthier self, and your body will be able to fight, diseases and anything that comes its way when you're more active. Some ways to get physical activity include going for walks or doing strength training exercises, participating in mobility practices, cardiovascular exercises. You could just, go play some sports, just go play a game, have fun, go for a bike ride. Anything fun that gets you moving is important. So, what to do and when? So, you definitely want to start slow and work up to this, but this is the ideal schedule that you should have every week. Strength training 3 times a week, mobility 2 times a week, and cardio 1 time a week. Cardio has been promoted as very good for weight loss over the years, but it's not the best way to lose weight. The best way to lose weight is to do strength training. Strength training builds muscles, and the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to burn at rest. Also, when you're eating protein, there's something called the thermic effect of food. And when you eat protein, it takes more energy to process that protein, and so you're burning more calories. And yeah, let's get back into strength training. Got off the track a little bit there. So some different things you can do for strength training are weightlifting, body weight exercises, certain types of yoga, resistance band training, or isometric or body weight exercises. These are some, you can do these at home, you can do them at the gym, you could do them wherever you are. It just depends on your situation and where you are in your health evolution. And but I highly recommend, start once a week and work up to 3 times a week. It's really important to spread those days out so you can let your muscles rest and recover in between those sessions. So mobility. Mobility is really great for flexibility and for strengthening any weak areas or muscles in your body. And it's also good for recovering from injuries, like I mentioned, my knee injury. So some different types of mobility things you can do are stretching. The stretching is really important for before and after workouts. And on these mobility days, just taking time to stretch your hips and your shoulders and anywhere that you might have pain or difficulty with. Physical therapy, like I mentioned, it's very important if you get injured, you need to do that physical therapy to strengthen that area back up. And on these mobility days is a really good time to focus on those specific areas and exercises. Other types of yoga are good for mobility. Static stretching is really good. That's when you hold a stretch and you're not moving, you're static in one position for a certain amount of time. And foam rolling. Um, I've got really tight calves, and sometimes they get so tight and painful. Um, the only thing that helps is the foam rolling. Um, it's great for your hip flexors and just any muscle that's tight or feeling sore. You can, roll it out and work out that lactic acid and make it feel better. Cardio. Like I said, cardio is great. Once a week is all you need. It's really good for your cardiovascular system and your respiratory system. And some different things you can do for cardio include jogging, going for bike rides, swimming, high intensity interval training, or Zumba. or just, going to dance. Just, take your partner and go find some good music and go dance for a while. I mean, you'll break a sweat in no time. You'll have fun and you'll get a workout in. But just in general, you should shoot to walk at least 10,000 steps a day just to help you keep moving. That'll, it's a really great baseline. Just try to go for a walk after you eat, or park the car at the far end of the parking lot, or, if you can walk to somewhere that you need to go, walk there instead of driving. Get that sunlight, get that fresh air, and keep moving. Physical recovery. This is the part of the third pillar of the trifecta, and it's really important. Why? Because it speeds healing from injuries. Um, when you injure yourself, it sucks, right? And it hurts, and you don't want to be injured. So if you could increase the time it takes to recover from that injury, why wouldn't you? Strengthening weak areas. Sometimes one arm could be stronger than the other, or one leg, and taking time to focus on these weaker areas is important so you can have a balance. Avoiding injuries. When you stretch and you take care of yourself, you can avoid having future injuries. And pain relief. When you go to the gym and you have a really hard workout and your muscles are really sore, doing a massage or using a heat pad can really help relieve that pain that you might be in. So some strategies for physical recovery include cold therapy, like using an ice pack. If you hurt your knee and it's swollen, you could put an ice pack on it. That'll help reduce the inflammation and help with the pain as well. There's also cold plunge. Doing a cold plunge is great for so many things in addition to recovery. It's really incredible, and I highly recommend it. I've been doing it a lot lately, and I've been noticing that when I'm sore, or my elbow hurts or something, after I get out of the cold plunge, it feels better, and that's because it's reducing that inflammation. Heat therapy. You could use a heat pad or go on a sauna, whatever you can. The heat will help increase the blood flow to whatever area you're applying it to, and it'll help increase the healing. Massage, like I mentioned, if you um, are sore, you can use a Theragun to massage yourself and work out that lactic acid and feel better. Um, Rest. Rest is really important. It's it's the main key for recovery. Every time you do strength training, you need to allow your muscles to rest so they can rebuild themselves and recover from the exercise. Cupping is a really great strategy to use. You it utilizes plastic or silicone cups that create a vacuum, and you put them on your skin wherever you're injured, and it'll help draw in the blood and promote healing. And stretching, again, stretching is very important, especially as we get older. It's harder, it's easier to injure yourself, and stretching and warming up is going to reduce the likelihood of those injuries. So let's talk about mental wellness. As I stated, the most important aspect of overall health. Having a fixed mindset is not going to suit you when you're trying to grow and do better. You want to have a growth mindset. You want to be open-minded. So some examples of a fixed versus a growth mindset are I can't versus I can, or I'm bad at, or I could be better at. Instead of saying I'm not that type of person, say I could try, or instead of saying I don't know how, say I could learn how to. These simple and small changes can make a really big difference in how you think about different things, and they can help take you to the next level. So changing your mindset, that can be challenging, but it's possible. And I really love this quote by Henry Ford because it's so true. Whether you believe you can do a thing or not, you're right. And if you think about it, if you think, oh man, I can't do that, that's too hard, whatever, you're not going to do it. You're not even trying. But if you think, I could do that, I could figure out ways, whatever comes up, I'll figure it out. You're more likely to figure it out. And and that's how you make progress. That's how you succeed. Um, just changing the way you think about things um, in respect to foods. Think about things as good, better, best. You don't always have to do the best, but you can do good. And if you can, do better. One example is eggs. Buying eggs from the grocery store and eating them is good. It's good cholesterol, it's good protein, there's a lot of good vitamins, vitamin A. It's very good. Better would be to buy pasture raised eggs. The chickens have a better quality of life. The nutrients are probably better. These chickens are getting sunlight. They might even be getting access to bugs and all that good stuff that they need to create nutrient dense eggs. And the best might be raising your own chickens. That way you have full control of all the inputs and how the animals are raised and how the eggs are taken care of. But that might not be feasible for everyone. So, especially when you're starting off, just try to do good. And then as you progress, you can start to strive for doing better, and then you can try to do your best. Um, you can't feel bad about not getting the pasture raised eggs. Just any eggs are gonna be fantastic. Um, and just thinking, what if it all works out? So many people are so pessimistic, they're so negative. But what if you just think, what if it works out? What if I'm able to figure out this nutrition thing and the exercises and I'm able to lose weight and I'm able to get my, diabetes diagnosis reversed? It's possible. You can do it. And especially when you have the right mindset. And I believe that everyone should talk to a therapist, no matter if you're dealing with a crisis or not. Just having someone to talk to, someone who's unbiased, can be super helpful in making decisions and figuring out, what you want to do in life. So I highly recommend you talk to someone if you're not already doing so. Some other mental wellness strategies include meditation. Um, I never thought that I would be the kind of person that would meditate. But when I was going through my health evolution, someone recommended it to me, and I was, sick and tired of being sick and tired, and so I was open to trying new things. Excuse me. And so I tried it, and wouldn't you know, I felt better. I felt calmer. I felt like I had more mental bandwidth, and I really enjoyed taking that time for myself every day. Um, and so I would highly recommend trying meditation. There's the Calm app, which I use, and they have the Daily Calm, which is a guided meditation, which is really great for people just starting out. If you're not sure what to do, they'll guide you through the entire meditation process. It's about 10 minutes every day. They have a new one every day, and it's amazing. I also like to use the open-ended meditations. They have ones where a bell will ring every minute, every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I like the 5 minute one. And so I know how long it's been that I've been meditating. I usually try to do 10 minutes. So by the time I hear that second bell, I know that I've done my 10 minutes and I can finish up and move on to other things. Creatine. Creatine isn't necessarily associated with mental wellness, but it is. It's the most studied supplement, and it's amazing for mental health. It it can help relieve depression and anxiety, and it can help you think better. I noticed a significant difference when I started incorporating uh, creatine into my daily supplements. I noticed that I just felt better. I just felt better emotionally, and I highly recommend you try out taking creatine monohydrate, 5 milligrams a day. Breath work. Breath work can be very powerful. Just taking a step back from a situation and taking a few deep breaths can really help alleviate anxiety and stress when you're in a highly erratic environment or situation. Grounding exercises can also help in those types of situations. Just taking a moment to look around and notice what you see, notice what you smell, touch something. Just try to get back in your body, and it'll help bring you back into the moment if you're, really anxious about some upcoming event or anything like that. And nature can be very powerful as well. There's a thing called forest bathing in Japan where people they go to these parks right in the city where they have a bunch of trees like a forest, and they just go there and they experience the energy from the trees, and they get all those good vibes, and they get the fresh air. And I think there's something to this. There's something very powerful about just getting outside and getting in nature, and it can make you feel really good. And I would try to get out into nature every day if you can. So that's we've gone through all the pillars, the 3 pillars of optimal health, and now I want to start talking about ways to start implementing some of these strategies, how to get started. What's your goal? Having a goal is very important. These big cargo ships, they cross the entire ocean. They start at one place and they have a specific destination, a port that they need to get to at a certain time and day. And the only way they do that is by having a plan. And so I advocate that you need to have a plan to reach your destination. And first, you need to pick a destination. You need to choose a goal. What's your health goal? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to maintain your weight? Do you want to bulk? Are you trying to overcome a disease? You need to figure out what your goal is. And then you can set action steps, which are smaller things you can do that help you reach your goal. And those action steps are very important. Um, a lot of the times we set a goal and we just go along our day, and it's not likely to happen because we're not taking steps towards that goal. So these action steps are those smaller steps that you can take to achieve your bigger goals. Um, there's going to be setbacks. There's always going to be setbacks. That's life. Things always come up. Um, you get injured, or someone gets sick, or financial setbacks. There's always going to be a setback that you can overcome. And if you're determined, you will overcome it. You'll figure it out. And you need to educate yourself, depending on what you need to do or what you want to do. You need to educate yourself on nutrition. Learn more about nutrition and how to cook. Cooking at home is is an amazing tip. If all you did was cook your own food at home and use whole foods, your health would skyrocket. Um, So educate yourself on whatever you need. YouTube, there's all kinds of articles online. There's so many resources out there. I mean, my website, I have a lot of stuff on there, and just need to look into it. So how to start living the protein lifestyle? Well, it's really important to start slow. you don't want to overwhelm yourself with a bunch of new things at once. If you try to take everything that you've learned from this class today and go do it all at once, eventually you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to get burnt out. So it's really important to make small changes over time, and that'll help you reach your goal. I mean, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You want to, slowly incorporate new strategies over time, and you want to go slow and make sure that you've got one strategy down and you've made it a habit before you start introducing more. And one thing you can start with is prioritizing protein. We talked about how important protein is, and you can start by just adding one extra egg to your breakfast. Or if you get a hamburger, make it a double. Add an extra hamburger patty. Just start slowly increasing protein over time. I would highly um, discourage you from just jumping in and going carnivore. That's a huge shock to the body, and you need to work on slowly lowering your carbohydrate intake and slowly increasing your protein intake over a certain amount of time to get your system to adjust to those different fuel sources. But you can start prioritizing protein today. Um, Going for a walk after every meal is something easy. It could only be 5 minutes, 20 minutes would be better. But if all you did was go for a walk after every meal, it would increase your digestion. You'd get more activity, you'd get more sunlight, more fresh air, and it's gonna launch you into the next level and make you feel good and make you not feel so bloated. Um, you could also try an elimination diet. Some elimination diets are like the carnivore diet, or um, what else? There's there's low carb elimination diets. There's a bunch of different elimination diets that you can try, and these can be especially helpful if you're not sure what types of food work best for your body. Elimination diet is basically eliminating most food groups and eating um, a limited number of food items for about 30 days. And then after that, you slowly start incorporating foods one at a time and see how they make you feel. And this is a great way to know what kind of foods that you're sensitive to or work best for your body. Um, Pick one thing and start now. That's how you can get started. Just pick something and start incorporating it into your everyday life and make it a habit. Um, get some support. Find a friend who could be your accountability buddy who can do this with you together. And if you can't or you have other questions, you can always join our Facebook group, Living the Protein Lifestyle on Facebook. The link is here on the slide, and you can ask questions. You can see other people's posts, see what they're dealing with, what their struggles are, how they overcame them, and just get help. So that's where you can find that. So here are some free resources. This is a link to my website. I've got a ton of free resources. I've got articles on how to calculate your macronutrients, how to use food trackers, and I have my top 3 high protein, easy to make meals recipes available on there as well. So check out the QR code or write down the link and check out those resources. So if you found this helpful, but you need a little bit more help, I'm offering the 6-week holistic health transformation course. This is a step-by-step guide that'll take you through the protein lifestyle workbook and help you develop the habits that will enhance your overall well-being and ignite the flame that'll launch your health evolution. So, if you have the workbook and you're enjoying it, but you just have more questions and you need more customized help, this course is a great way to get that. And you can learn more at launchyourEvolution.com. And I would like to offer this course at a discount to you to anyone who participated in this masterclass. Send me a message that you're interested, and I'll send you a discount code. So that's it for the presentation. I'd like to take questions now. Um, if you'd like a copy of the slide deck, just email me at josh@joshnolan.com. And if I don't get to your questions, feel free to also email me. Let's see here. Let me go to the comments now. Just a moment. Let's see here.